guest today is an expert who can tell you both about both in context. It's Dave Cernicek, who is the Snake River Headwaters River Ranger, and he is also one of the authors of the Comprehensive River Management Plan for the Wild and Scenic Snake River Headwaters. So lots of experience. I'm sure you'll learn a lot, and hand it over to Dave. Welcome, Dave.
Happy to be here. Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you're at. I am the coordinator for the Snake River Headwaters Wild and Scenic designation, which is 13 streams, 27 sections of designated sections of river. It's a watershed-wide designation centered on the Snake River in western Wyoming. And it includes sections that are in the park, in two national parks, Yellowstone and Bridger-Teton, as well as the National Elk Refuge. Out of 415 miles designated, 315 miles is managed by the Bridger-Teton National Forest here. Just to get started here, leading with this picture. This is a boreal owl. He is stuck in poop in at the bottom of a SST. Just my quick message while we go into this is about the contributions we make to our public lands. You know, we have the ability to make really positive changes, sometimes with very little effort. I've worked my butt off for over 25 years, and my biggest accomplishment in the world is sending one email. Years ago, I came back from the river ramps, long day, really dehydrated, worked a bunch of hours for free for the government because they won't pay out overtime. But this picture was in my email. I just simply forwarded crash a couple sentences to my friends Margaret Creel and Roger Smith. Roger really started the Teton Raptor Center here. I just said something like, "Please fix this," and it was kind of in a joking manner. Took me 2 seconds to do. Roger Smith called me back the next day, and he said, "I will fix this. Can I use your bathrooms? Can I work on your toilets in the canyon and try and find a way to prevent this from ever happening again?" I was kind of shocked. I was only joking. But I don't know if anybody has seen these things before that go on the top of smokestacks on SSTs. My one stupid email has gone to 30,000 of these things being sold nationwide. Toilet manufacturers have made knockoffs that have created another, tens of thousands of these across the nation. These things are everywhere. So never think that you can't make a difference. Always share your ideas, even if you think they're stupid, because a lot of ideas are really good, and they never come to fruition unless you talk about them. And there's so many really cool things that come out if we just talk about them. So many birds have been saved by this simple fix, and it's a pretty cool thing. And that's my biggest accomplishment in the world, is one stupid email. Move along. Who am I? Where does the story begin? Just a little bit about me. I am started off private boater, and in the Scouts mainly as a teenager. I've been a guide in Colorado and Idaho for a few years. Went mainstream with business degrees, tried to work in the real world, chase the American dream. It didn't work out very well. My normal place of feeling good about myself is always on a river. Went back, got a master's degree at North Carolina State University. Been employed doing river-related research for a living. Gotten to do policy work, working for the Park Service River and Trails Conservation Assistance Program in Washington, D.C. Got to be an intern at the White House at the same time Monica Lewinsky was there, strangely. I've worked as a ranger in 3 different states, New Mexico, California, and North Carolina, and becoming a river manager here. I walked onto the scene in the late 1990s in the Snake River Canyon for the Bridger-Teton National Forest. They were in the middle of river planning, redoing a plan from 1987, setting tighter limits on their 87 plan that it hadn't spoken to some issues. The commercial fishing was going up. Whitewater and non-commercial use had grown significantly since the 80s, from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. 1994, the river runs through a year where most rivers in the country peaked out at. Our commercial use that year on 8 miles of river in about a 2.5 month period, class 3 rapids spiked at 120,000 customers. So definitely a big freight train or fast food boating. Non-commercially grown, big groups, mainly religious and scouting groups, groups of 70 to 150 people, showing up pretty much at the exact same times, 10 and 1 for the primetime launches, and all at the same time, 5 or 6 of those groups at once. Filled every parking lot, every toilet, everything, and conflicts were very frequent. Fistfights would happen. Our normal public was really fed up with us doing nothing. We had no funding to do anything. Lots of illegal outfitting going on. Wasn't pretty. On river, density levels were high. We had in-rapid conflicts. We had multiple user groups conflicting with each other. Snake River Canyon is a home to Lunch Counter Rapid, which gets a big glassy wave that you can put surfboards on. Surfboards are a whole new dynamic. There's some type of power with surfboards that just make people difficult. I don't know why, but even the Pope would be swearing and flipping people off and smoking pot if he touched the surfboard. Difficult group to work with. I don't know why. We also, don't know if you remember the 90s, jet skis, big thing. And we started having people up running rapids that we had hundreds of thousands of people going downstream through. Really scary situation, super dangerous. Our facilities were completely exceeding capacity often. And, cars parking up and down this highway, both sides of the river, both sides of the highway, excuse me. Dispersed camping was absolutely horrendous. No leave, no trace ethic. People who have never been camping before, those groups of 150 people. Human waste, birth control, not digging cat holes, absolutely disgusting places to ever walk into and have to deal with cleaning up. Hard to keep rangers on the job. Constant search and rescue call outs, just carnage everywhere. Huge amount of rental rafts coming onto the river here, continual accidents. All of our rafting business really transacts in Teton County, where Jackson is. The Snake River Canyon primary, where the rapids are, is all in Lincoln County. And so it really infuriates the commissioners and the employers of Lincoln County. None of that lots of economic impact does happen, but the main economic impact from the river happens to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, not in Lincoln County, Wyoming. And so horrible relationships. All of these emergency services, primarily in Western Wyoming, are volunteer based. And so we, employers continually had people walking off the job to go respond to river incidents. And it was very frequent. It cost a lot of money. Their jet boats would get broken, you name it. So really bad relationships, getting really much worse by the minute. Those of you who've been following the visitor use model track this week, there's the 4 things that we influence as land managers: the amount of use, the type of use, the location of use, and user behavior. Following that, we basically have 4 strategies of how we can manage things. And, the first 3 are the biggest ones: education, engineering, and enforcement and evaluation. What I'd like to do today is go through some of the issues mentioned previously and how we dealt with them in our planning documents and where the rubber meets the river. Kind of a DIY of creating carrying capacity and dealing with tough issues, working with what you have when you really don't have much to work with. Remember, everybody has great ideas. Not everyone brings them up or follows through. I encourage you to remember that and bring up those great ideas. What I'll be doing is putting up the problem and giving you a chance to troubleshoot the best way to deal with it from the 4 choices here. Sometimes there are more than one answer, and sometimes none really fit. Participation is not mandatory, but please play along in the chat. We can't call on everybody today, but we're doing this with the chat. And I have a lovely assistant today who will be following that and bringing stuff up. Yeah, there will be prizes that you may not receive them in the mail, but there will be some people who get named after a star today. So here we go. Issue 1, large groups sometimes come to the river in groups over 100, showing up to launch during prime time hours, 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. Anybody have good ideas on how to manage this type of thing?
Dave,
Put
could
it
you
in the
repeat
chat.
the question? Repeat the question.
Yes, ma'am. Large groups, sometimes over 100 people in a group, sometimes 150. Like 5 of these groups showing up at 10 and 1 p.m. on a given high use day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What would you do to try and even out these numbers or not have these giant spikes that overwhelm your facilities, overwhelm the river, cause conflicts, ruin river experiences? What could you do about it to fix that problem? Ideas. Would you do education, engineering, enforcement, evaluation, all the above, some of one?
I see a couple of evaluations. I see some education, permits with launch time slots. And engineering. It's kind of all over the board, a little bit of everything, Dave. And then someone says everything, all of it. Christy says work with recurring outfitters and groups to have launch windows.
Those are actually great answers. We started with education, we started with education, ended up in enforcement after evaluating where we were getting. We put a group permit. Instead of making everyone get permits, we went with a group permit thing. We still wanted to have our groups, but we didn't want them as big as they were. Then we wanted to spread them out through the entire day. And so we set up a schedule. One group can launch every 20 minutes throughout the day. No more than 30 persons in a launch. Groups over 15 had to have a permit. You can have 2 launches on high use days. If you go to low use days, you can have 3. We wanted to shift some of that use to our low use days and away from our high use days. Our system allowed us, 3 education opportunities to get people to, we could talk to them when they're applying for the permit. The permit they filled out also had a lot of what the rules and regulations are. The trip leader had to sign off that he understood them and knew that he'd be cited if he wasn't following these or his permit could be pulled. This group also had to check in when they arrived at the river, giving a ranger a chance to also address the group again. Is it an online permit? Or we also have a permit hotline that people can call in for information. Never have things ring at your desk because these people will call you every 5 minutes and you never get anything else done. But you sign a number that takes messages. You can go at the end of the day, pull down all those messages and return them all at the same time. Slick thing to do. Our permits are free. What we ended up having was a lot fewer conflicts. People understood what the rules were. The river, the rangers, our facilities were not overwhelmed as much. The quality of our experiences went up a lot more, less density, less waiting, less standing there and drinking and starting fights with people. People weren't waiting around as much, worked a lot better. Next issue, large groups, sometimes over 100, showing up to camp in dispersed areas, leaving horrible messes, going up your 2 tracks, just finding a place on the side of the road, whatever. Just massive groups, burning plates and plastic. Leave no trace ethics. Any ideas? Do you educate them? Is there something you can do? Does it just come down to enforcement? Any answers?
We see one education and enforcement. Engineering and educating, designate dispersed sites, designate areas for that use. Couple more educations.
All really good answers. At the end of the day, you do need to do some enforcement. People that'll leave a place trash really aren't likely to get educated very well. And the tough part is you don't have a chance to educate them when they, show up at 11 o'clock on a Friday night and they're desperate to find a place to sleep. What we did is all camping in the Snake and Hoback Wild and Scenic River corridors must be in developed campground between May 1st and Labor Day. More than likely, our campgrounds are full at 100% capacity. We decided a long time ago that no, we're not ever going to have enough camping for everybody that needs one. We quit building campgrounds. Likely we displaced a lot of this to other ranger districts or areas on our districts. But yeah, you basically have to close it down. If people can't be, if people can't behave, you can't have them. And you really can't, the education thing didn't work very well. Other than, yeah, we could do it in the permit. We tried to educate with the permit system as well. And what we ended up is, we'd let people go down to the kiosk and fill out a permit application when we found a big group that didn't apply for a permit. We'd find them the next week too. Oh yeah, I forgot to apply for a permit. I'll just go down to the kiosk. That's how we got into enforcement there. So yeah, this was a pretty cut and dry one. It had to go to area being closed, dispersed areas being closed to camping and heavy enforcement. I don't know if anybody has this where their ramp areas get totally overwhelmed with people. Our big deal is people that blow up their own boats. We get a lot of rental boats. A lot of people show up with a boat and a double action pump. The little gray ones that cost like $8 to $12. I don't know if anybody else has the two big fat guys that come down with 2 cases of beer and a double action pump and a leaky 18-footer that takes like 19 hours to pump up while they get really drunk and sunburnt and dehydrated, and then they start fights with other people. We get those guys a lot. So what they start doing is we try and put them on our upstream ramp slot. And they usually fill that, and then they start filling out more places, and we start losing all our space on a ramp. We don't have the real estate for them. And so we get more, as we lose more space, we have more conflicts, we have more density, and we just kind of want them out of there. So anyone have any ideas? Education, engineering, enforcement, buy them a boat, get them a better pump, anything. Here's another view of it. Dallas will do it in the middle of the parking lot and block the parking lot, and then they'll hike their boat to the river.
Riley says designated boat pumping area, signs prohibiting pumping along boat ramp, and enforcement. Or separate the areas, especially for safety.
Not bad. We don't have the space really is what's tough, and the time.
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you what we did. So I got a generator and I got a man and rubber pump with a governor on it that won't go above 2.5 pounds of pressure. Actually, we'll fill just about any boat up in about 2 minutes tops. And you really don't even need to pop it off. With the governor, it won't blow up any boats. And it's a pretty slick operation. We asked for a $5 donation, which pays for getting the next pump and generator when they break this one. Also pays for other stuff in our program, occasionally even a Ranger barbecue. Pays for the gas, and people think we're wonderful folks for doing this. It's absolutely not about providing great service. It's about getting these people off our boat ramp and on the river, having a good time and out of our hair. But people think it's all about them, so we don't tell them anything different. But this gets people off our ramps and creates more space to get more people, to have no conflicts. It's one of the best things we've ever done. It is, people love this thing, and it is used all day long, every day, and people love it. Highly recommend that type of thing. Next issue, exceeding facility capacity and too many single car vehicles. I'm sure nobody else but me has their parking lots getting way over full and people creating creative parking spaces or dangerous parking places or parking in a way that prevents other people from accessing the area. Enforcement is really a hard one here. If you're an FBO, because most of ours are not allowed to write parking tickets. Any ideas?
I see engineering and all of the above.
Okay. Only 2 players, huh? Okay. I reward you both, and we'll name stars after both of you for being players today. It's mainly an engineering thing, because getting your LEO to show up and write tickets is usually not a thing that's ever going to happen either. One thing that is super, super helpful if you're a day trip river, getting a shuttle. We had one, we lost him. Jackson Hole has about 13 pages of want ads at any given time. You can get $40 to flip burgers here. Manpower to operate a business is tough, and that was part of the reason we lost ours. Another big one was a lot of our boaters are too cheap to pay $5 for a shuttle of their boat and themselves back up to the foot in. They'd rather stand 2 hours out on the highway getting sunburned, waiting for someone to pick them up hitchhiking. But yeah, we had nicest thing, if you have a dependable on-site, on-demand shuttle service that people know is going to be there, they will only bring one car to the river, mainly the locals. They won't bring two to do their shuttle with. That can take, a third of your cars out of your parking lot. It was great while we had it. I only brought one car with my buddies down to the river, and we didn't spend that extra hour and a half shuttling vehicles because we knew the shuttle guy was going to be there. And he would bring your boat and you back to the put-in for $5. You could not beat it. If you're really cheap, everyone would bring $5, or if you're really cheap, only one guy would come up and he'd get the truck and go back and get everybody else. But really great tool, worth going through the permitting process to have one of these guys if you have a willing person, because it gets so many cars out of your parking lot.
Dave, we have some suggestions for fluorescent orange warning stickers. Can you post parking signs and threaten to tow? And then can you something carcinite off illegal spaces, curbing, no stopping, standing, parking signs, so forth. Have you tried signs?
Those are all great ideas. We do order as much as we can. I'm out of them. We get the impossible to get off your window stickers for illegal parking. Yes, we can't send you to court, but we can make you spend an afternoon trying to get that darn thing off your window. It even has a pleasant message that you shouldn't park there. The more passive, the better. Another really great one is those not many people have them. They're the visitor contact slips for Forest Service people. They're just for giving a comment. If you start whipping those things out, telling people not to park there, other people that are thinking about parking, like in your trailer plate parking, your limited trailer parking in their single cars, you start whipping those things out and putting them up under windshield wipers, everybody thinks those are tickets. They'll start cheering for you, and not parking there. Other people start running and moving their cars. Those are a really good tool too. Finally, if you can see in this photo, it's not a great photo. These yellow things are actually, they're not sticking straight up anymore, but these are the utility markers that you get. You see like the gas company and the electric company use when they're marking where stuff is underground, like in construction projects or when houses are getting built. They're $100 for 1,000 of them. You can get them in any type of color you want. One color is propane, one's natural gas, one's electricity or whatever. This year I got bright pink, but you nail them into the ground in a compacted parking lot like this one, they don't ever come back out. You have to cut them. What we did was we marked out normal sized lines, and like this parking lot that used to be able to hold, on a good day, maybe six or seven trucks and trailers. We can now get 11 once we put the lines in there and people know where to park in between. So we almost, in our dirt lots, we almost double our capacity in these lots because of, just by delineating them. Occasionally you see people using fire hose. I've never been able to find fire hose nor put it down. But these little things are great. Anytime you can mark things and guide people to where they're supposed to be, they will follow your guides. And usually have to replace them about every 3 years, sometimes touch them up with paint, but really cheap solution. I can send you where to get them if you're interested.
AH suggested fire hose, so he or she found them as well.
Okay. Last big issue is excessive numbers of call outs for search and rescue and emergency services, horrible relationships with your counties and elected officials. Any ideas?
Ooh, crickets.
There's 1,000 good answers to this one. I'll expand on them as much as I can.
Education. Education is winning. Education. Educate visitors. Partnerships. Ride along.
All good answers.
Ride alongs for a news person.
All really, really good answers.
Beer.
You know, the first big thing is prepare, train tools and training. Prepare your employees in every way possible. They'll never know enough, but every advantage and comfort possible should be extended to your people. Whatever Swiftwater training level they are comfortable with, give it to them. It's expensive, but it's worth every dime. They work near water. It's a dangerous situation. Older folks may not want to be a technician, but are happy to do awareness level. Give it to them. Offer medical training incentives. Make CPR and first aid mandatory. Have your local EMS come in and share what is helpful at an accident scene, especially if you're roadside. We do a lot of roadside work because we're the first ones at any scene. And, they'll tell you what is best at, what the best help rangers can be in in a situation, whether it's a size up report on the radio, blocking traffic, rendering aid, assessing patients. Your responders are happy to do this as it makes their job so much easier. They appreciate us a lot. I've taken the fire ERPIG, the incident response guide, and adapted it to be river specific. It's a flip book. I'm happy to share with folks if they want to see what it looks like. 2 pages of it. Let's see if it comes up here. It just, it's something that goes in ranger breast pockets. So when they're nervous and running in circles and panicking, when it's their first time, they can slow it down a little bit and get their guide out and reason through things. We also have a great dispatch system. Another big one is partnerships. Partner with your county EMS, your fire, your outfitters, your guides. All of them are critical pieces when things go bad. Create the relationships and coordinate with them long before the accident scene. Make the effort to walk into offices, approach, schedule meetings with them. Get to know these folks, rangers, manager, everybody. Knowing names and having them know you makes so much difference when you meet at the scene. Tell them what you can and can't do, what your skills are, and your assets you have to offer. All responders know how to get into my boathouse for a boat that's loaded on a trailer with gear and ready to go if needed. I don't care who takes it. It's about doing good and bringing bodies back alive. We don't care about who gets the glory one bit. We just want to help. Participate, recognize, and go to everybody's tables. They're not, these responder agencies are not a cleaning service to fix your mess. Don't go home until they go home. These are volunteers that are giving their time and are infuriated with your level of urgency and need that ends at the moment that you aren't getting paid. What really sucks, in my world, we don't get overtime. And so, I stay and I volunteer if we have a body missing and we have volunteers out there. I don't make my rangers do it, but if you don't give a damn after 5 o'clock because you're not getting paid and you have people that are working for free out there all night, you really lose a lot of face and you will never have a relationship if you walk off the minute you're not making a dollar. Make efforts to go to search and rescue and fire EMS monthly meetings, participate, offer them your expertise and training. I teach my folks at my search and rescue how to row. My rangers go out there and we get them on the oars and we teach them because it's something they really do badly. Best thing you can do is join a search and rescue or fire EMS that responds to your scenes. I've been a local volunteer firefighter for over 20 years. It improves communications and understanding, makes the federal government resentment and fear dissipate. Really good thing to do. Another one is provide tools and training. Appreciate the things that help you and help them to be effective in any way you can. Find small grants that you can provide to provide any needed equipment and trainings. It goes so far if you give them something. I try to raise at least $2,000 per year to pay for needed things. As a Forest Service, I can't have a drone, which is a really, really effective thing for searches, body recovers, all that. Search and rescue can. I bought him a $2,000 drone a few years ago. Search and rescue will come with their drone whenever. I've bought them helmets. I bought search and rescue life jackets. I bought the sheriff's deputy jackets. I paid for Swiftwater, you name it. I've not been screamed at by their commissioner since 1999. We've had great relationships. We still had call outs, but we've prevented a lot of call outs. We've turned them around a lot and we're very good friends now. And we have a very favorable relationship. Protocols, agree to agree. Put together protocols with these agencies about how things will come down when they go haywire in your river corridor. as simple as, one pager, not what fire has, the 56-page thing or whatever, but just what each agency role is, what frequencies will be used, get permission to use their frequencies officially off season, during the off season, if needed between your agencies. For us, we first respond and assess what's going on when the report first comes in. We have the ability to call them off from driving crazy from, the town 30 miles away, or keep coming, or what they need to bring, or if the jet boat needs to come out. SAR takes the river, fire takes between the river and the road, and EMS takes the road bound stuff. Simple as that. We go to a portable repeater 45 minutes into an event. We have it programmed in our Forest Service radios. Practice within your crews and multi-agency things. Best way to get to know each other. Go train other agencies. If they aren't having something, invite them to your trainings. Find out when it's a good night for them. And involve everybody, including your river guides. Our river guides do 95% of the work in our canyon. They are great. They're tuned in. They carry radios. They radio to town. Their outfitter office calls our dispatch. Our dispatch calls us. We're really effective, and we saved a lot of lives. One of my favorites is have the bus in the river scenario full of customers right at the county line, so we get both counties out. Big learning experience. Tabletop stuff is great. Just really good to get people out together and get a bunch of pizzas. We all learn a lot about each other. Pre-planning. AED storage, evac routes, helipads, you name it. Put things in place to ease the response and make it more efficient and effective when something does happen. We have public use AEDs along the river with backboards. We have evacuation trails leading to those spots that are the trouble spots and other places throughout the canyon. We have those marked. We do scenarios with partners and employees for each type of incident in each area. Write this all down. Pioneer, as I said, great ideas, share them. Do things that haven't been done before that are outside the norm. We put AEDs in the river canyon, public use AEDs in the canyon in the year 2000, before anybody else even thought about it. We didn't necessarily ask, we just did it. We saved a lot of lives, including children. We now have a commercial repeater in the canyon, so river guides can talk directly with responders, with river rangers, and when something happens, they can report a problem, they can guide us to where it is, where they have the, how many patients they are, what type of gear we need to bring, all that type of stuff, very real time. And it's an excellent tool. Unfortunately, our fire people found out about it and shut us down, but we're going to resurrect. But super, super cool tool when everybody can talk on the same channel. Pictured here is a Lucas device. It's a machine that does chest compressions when somebody's on a backboard. We're pursuing getting one because one of our toughest things, if we're not putting our patient on the jet boat, where we can do compressions continually, we're taking them up a trail. On a trail, we have to stop doing chest compressions, and that pretty much kills the person, losing those few minutes of compressions. This device keeps critical blood going where it currently isn't happening. So pursuing that, and we will obtain one. This is a kind of a coverage that I came up with. I got lots of GPS photos and stuff and put it into a Google Earth coverage. It has every bridge, evacuation route, county boundary, boat ramp, rapid, mile marker that is listed by feature as you go downstream, and by type of object. All the rapids, all the mile markers, all the evac routes or whatever in separate groups. And I've given it, so I've handed it out so it's in all the ambulances, sheriff's car computers, search and rescue vehicles, etc. And so when you click on something or search for it, a picture comes up that shows what it is, what it should look like, right down to, you can even see what the turnoff you're looking for looks like. The picture pops up, or what the top of the access trail looks like, or the pullout, where the AEDs are, you name it. We have preset checklists of what ifs and how we'll do things agreed to with partners. And finally, my last one, the press is really important thing is to use the press and the media to your advantages, but there's a lot of dangers there. Getting those annual warnings out, promoting your partners, anytime there is a story, don't talk about yourself, talk about the amazing work that search and rescue does, or EMS and how they were there so quickly. Get PSAs out, have your public affairs people, do a news release, include those people, what happened. That gives you a chance to get voter safety messages out, and get people's attention, but don't do it in a way that is going to run your outfitters' businesses under, out of business for the next month. We have a lot of people that do stupid things. They wear t-shirts and shorts when the water's 40 degrees and running 30,000. We use the press to our advantage. Every year I try and solicit a river safety article from multiple media sources and places where my boaters come from. The message is about being prepared, having knowledge, gear, and experience to run a safe boat. I do a release for rescuers always and point out what went well, what went wrong. I'm careful to make sure I clear what is that it is good to go with an outfitter in high water conditions instead of running by yourself if you don't have the proper equipment and knowledge. Big thing, train your river rangers to what to say and not say, and what not to ever put on social media. Bad things happen in this department, all the way up to getting subpoenaed for armchair quarterbacking and judgments made on social media. So those are just some thoughts, things that DIY hacks or whatever in the world of river management. Got a few minutes left if people want to ask questions.
Dave, a couple of comments. It's understandable that there are accidents, but folks need to be held accountable for all the time, money, and effort put in to get them out safely. No more free ride, just like a car accident.
That is always a big debate. That there's one side of the equation that says people won't report accidents if they have to pay for them or blah blah blah. I'm not on that side of the coin. I've been doing this for a lot of years, and there's nothing like driving lights and sirens in the middle of the night to endangering yourself and your coworkers to show up at a log jam in a jet boat after driving up a dangerous river just to have somebody go, it's about time you guys got here. Those are the people you actually want to make sure don't live through the night for a while, and you need to walk off the scene for a little bit and get control of yourself. I don't want to get real political in this presentation, but it is really, really frustrating that people think that there is a duty to get them out of stuff, so they do stupid things. We've had lots of pressure, and in the time before I came here, we used to have there was a outfitter or search and rescue that would sit below Lunch Counter Rapid and help people during high water. I definitely ended that. We will not, make the river safer for you to come be incompetent on. You need to run this river on the river's terms, and we will not Disneyland ride it, make it safer for you. And people don't like that, and they want all the, they want to have signs for all the hazards, and the rapid where the guy drowned last year, whatever. And you don't want to get into the business of marking hazards, because you become like a ski hill where ski hills are, they mark one hazard, they have to mark them all, and it just becomes an unending chase to get them all.
Hey, Dave, who can access the preloaded information? That's Karita. I'm not exactly sure what she means about that, but.
Preloaded?
Karita, if you could clarify what preloaded means, that would be great. Dan asks, how many river rangers do you have? How do you determine your staffing levels?
This year, I believe we have 10. Embarrassingly, I determine my staffing levels by the number of trucks I can get. Money is one thing, but it really does come down to the number of trucks. If I can't get enough trucks to support a ranger crew, I can't hire more people and have them hitchhike to the ramps. And it's embarrassing to say, and I hate talking about it, but trucks have become become the great thing that limits crew sizes. You know, trucks are a huge piece of safety equipment. I have Rangers that have been pushed and had hands put on them. I've had Rangers that have been, you know, beat up in town after work. The truck is a huge piece of safety, and people need to be able to get in that truck and leave the scene immediately. And if I don't have a truck, I will not, you know, I will not have Rangers left at a site where they cannot exit immediately. We do double up in trucks. Go ahead.
Your favorite world or ideal world, how many would you have if trucks were at your disposal? I mean, if you could get as many as you want.
You know, usually between 8 and 12, depending on how many volunteers I have. I do a lot, you know, lots of years I have 2 sets of really good volunteers. You know, older couples that bring their own RV can work out really well if they're hard workers and they both work. Sometimes they will outwork the Ranger crew. Just depends on what's going on. This year it's all hands on deck. Our outfitters have 4 times the amount of bookings than they ever have before, and it's still before Labor Day.
Karita clarified. She said the map you showed from Google Earth. Can you share that link? I guess.
I can send her the coverage. Yeah.
Okay. How long would you say, this is from Jesse, how long would you say it took to feel like you made a strong shift in the cooperative culture with other agencies and responders? I think that sometimes we want the quick fix, but building relationships can take some time, right?
Absolutely. You know, you can start right away, but you know, you don't just show up in town and, you know, that's one of the worst things we do in these agencies is we show up for a year or two and we transfer on. This is people start trusting us and liking us. We break their hearts and move away. And, you know, whoops, people, you know, they want to like us. They want, you know, they get their feelings hurt every time in that they, you know, they want to know you. They want to, they get used to you. You could make some decisions, but then you disappear, and the next guy comes and undoes everything that you did. You know, sticking around a little while, becoming part of your community, becoming a human being that they know. You know, it's like, yeah, I know people that from my kids' sports teams or the kids' activities or from the fire department. You know, joining the fire department is one of the best things I ever did, just because I got to know people. You know, I came here with a big chip on my shoulder about snowmobilers, thinking they were all bad. You know, my fire department in Hoback Junction, most of the people are snowmobilers, and they go out with their families, and that's their weekend activity, and they do it right, and they don't destroy anything. They're really nice people. That's their thing. I don't know why I thought they were all bad, but you know what? That's their thing. And you know, it just gave me a better understanding of how people function and what their backgrounds are. But yeah, get established in the community, get to know people. Just don't come in as the guy who's going to fix everything immediately, and everybody must like you. The Heimlich maneuver, new guy, you must like me, I'm going to fix everything in 2 months is just doesn't do it.
Dave, do you offer classes for safety, boating, and land awareness and camp etiquette? You have a fan here.
I don't. I'm always happy to help anybody who gives me a call. And I get lots of calls, and I'm always happy to drop everything and talk you through something, or tell you, share the scars that I wear. From doing this a long time, I've learned most things the hard way. And so I can tell you how to do it wrong, and I can tell you how to do it right. But I'm always happy to share documents or anything that I've gained in the past. A lot of my successes out there are things that I stole from somebody else, belonging to the River Management Society. You know, a lot of people that came before me had a lot of good things and a lot of good ideas that I stole and took credit for having myself. And but yeah, getting a network of people that do the same thing as you do, finding people that have done it longer, picking up the phone, calling them, dropping them an email, getting on the River Management Society listserv and saying, hey, has anybody ever done this? Or have you done it? You know, have a document like this or whatever. That saves so much time. I mean, weeks and weeks of time, because somebody has pretty much done everything that you can think of, and people will pop up and want to help you. If you don't know what RMS, it's kind of our trade group for people, for river rangers, river managers, that type of thing.
Any ideas for a similar corridor that has outgrown the infrastructure due to urban sprawl getting closer and closer? Permit system, question mark, scheduling different times of day, question mark?
A similar quarter. A similar corridor. I know there's a lot out there. I'm not positive. I'm not coming up with anything right now. There's, plans should have trigger points in that come out. I just saw something, a request from Arkansas Headwaters for people not to be on Browns Canyon this weekend. People are, I've seen on Facebook that people are like, oh, their management's trying to do this or that. And basically it looks like they're asking folks to stay off so they don't reach a trigger point that forces, the management plan to, to take an action that they don't want to take, which may mean, permitting individual groups or something like that, which our plan does that too, at a certain level of having this many votes on this many days and this many during a month or whatever, triggers us to take another action to level off our use from going any higher. Lots of plans have that. I don't know specifically who's bumping up against it for sure. I've been locked in my home for about 1.5 years. But that's typical of management plans is having trigger points that say there is, at this point, we shall require this action. And this action may be individual permits or group permits or, group permits like we have, large group permits. But I know Arkansas, anybody who's hitting the high use numbers and is having crazy things where, conflicts, facilities overrun, overcapacity of what they have to offer with on the river, their facilities, whatever, those are the places that are in trouble and have to do something.
Thanks, Dave. We're putting a couple more references in the chat about river management events like upcoming River Range Rendezvous. And there's also roundtables where we'll just get together in a couple of weeks. There will be one on capacity, user capacity, just bringing good stories, bad stories, questioning other folks.
Remember, the more access points you have, the better chance people have to spread out.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're 1/2 mile apart from each other, people spread out more.
Dave, what about sort of not the counter to that, but a corollary, like people don't like, there's always argument where you're going to fix a highway clogging situation by adding more lanes. And so you're just adding more lanes to get clogged. Is that similar to adding access points?
I don't think so. Just the basic thing, if you and I go boating together and we launch from the same place, Risa, we're going to be next to each other all day, possibly, without bringing other things into the conversation. If you and I both go to different put-ins and launch at the same time, we're not going to be together all day. If that makes any sense. It just, if people have more than one choice of where to put in, it just gives a better chance for spacing. One of my problems on the Snake River is we, probably have 6 ramps where people can take off from, but they all come to the same takeout point, which is, it's very cramped. And that's kind of our tough spot. That's our conflict spot. And it's, it's just the catch-all, and it has very limited space. It's hard to get up and down. There's no other place to put another takeout geographically. And, it's our problem spot. And that basically is what determines our carrying capacity for the whole river. When we did our plan, we had lots of appeals, and it finally came down to doing a time study of how long it takes to take a commercial boat out and how long it takes to take a non-commercial boat out of the river, and spreading that out through the day. We can get 175 commercial boats out. We can get 145 non-commercial boats out. And if we exceed that in, on the non-commercial side, so many days in a given month for a season, then we hit a trigger point where we have to go to, individual party permits.
Right.
I never want to go.
Yeah, thanks for that, Dave. I think we're going to, someone had a question about Stinking Bridge, question mark. I'm very curious about that. But we have a hard stop at 10 till. So I put your email address in the chat for folks who want to get in touch with you. And if you have other questions, you can send them to us and we'd be happy to get more info about Dave's history, his successes, and maybe we can get some more answers. But thank you for everyone for attending. And I guess we'll move on. Any final words of wisdom, Dave, before we take off?
Not a one. Have a great summer and hang tough. It's going to be a wild one. Hold on tight.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Dave.
Dave.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks, everybody.